It is time to roar around the ring coming off of Money in the Bank in Los Angeles. That is that dude, Darrell Dale Taylor. I am Justin Valentine. We are going to jump right into it because there is a lot to talk about coming out of LA. And yes, we wanted truth. We got truth. The main event of Money in the
That's
Bank,
right.
John Cena and Logan Paul going up against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. And John Cena was attacked by a returning R-Truth. Now, according to the WWE shop, this is Ron Killings, not R-Truth, although all of their
Yes.
social posts said R-Truth. So we'll see where they go with this. But R-Truth was reportedly released. He reported it himself a week ago. The entire industry was shocked by this. Fans were shocked by this. We want truth chants throughout Raw and SmackDown and Money in the Bank. And they gave us truth. Daryl, at the post show press conference, almost said post game, the press conference,
Yeah, I
Triple
got you.
H,
Yeah.
Triple H claimed, maybe sarcastically, it's all part of the show. Do you believe this was the game plan the entire time? Or do you think this was another kind of we want Cody moment?
I'm gonna lean towards more of a we want Cody moment. Just because I fail to see the story that you would try to tell by releasing truth and then bringing him back. It's like, oh, this is to build on the story. It's like, well, what story was there with that,
Right.
really? I mean, that might all come out later. I don't know, but as of right now, I think it's we were a bunch of truther crybabies,
Yeah.
and that's what happened. We made them pivot, the 25 pivot.
The Rock is wherever the hell he is, losing his mind again after the Cody crybabies. Now we have the Truth crybabies. I don't believe this was the game plan the entire time. I was sad about Truth being let go, but I understood
Yeah,
it. If that makes any sense, right? I said, I
yeah,
look, he's not young. He is in a roster with a lot of young stars. They are calling people up from NXT very quickly. And at some point down the line, you're gonna have to pay those guys, right? Let's compare
yeah,
it to sports. You bring in a whole crop of young talent, and that's your future. At some point, you're gonna have to pay those players on your roster, which means the older players, even though you love what they've done for your team, you're gonna have to kind of let them go. And that's kind of how I looked at Truth. Truth was
yeah.
amazing for the time he was in, and it felt like, to use the Cody comparison, it felt like he finished his story. He had his match with his childhood hero and John Cena at Saturday night's main event, and it was a perfect way to go out. And it's definitely felt like a situation where the fans took over yet again. It was overwhelming, and it bled into the live crowd. Everyone says Triple H, lives
Yeah.
on social media and just does whatever, social media wants him to do. That's not the case, right? What actually matters is what the live crowd actually says. A lot of what you hear on the internet does not bleed over into the live crowd. People hate Jey Uso on social media, but man, they love him at the shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And the live crowd, ultimately, the live crowd is what matters because the live crowd is who's showing up and they're buying the merch. Now, of course, the people watching at home, we're all subscribed to Peacock or what have you and Netflix, but so is the live crowd,
Yeah.
but they're taking it the extra step. So if those 15, 17, 20,000 people are overwhelming the, you know, 500, 800 people on X or something, it's like, who are you going to listen to? It's all
Right.
about the bottom line at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this is the first time we've seen something like that, like this, since Cody Rhodes in the WrestleMania main event a couple of
Yeah.
WrestleManias ago. And before then, it really hasn't happened to this extent, right? Truth was released, it was reported. Everybody on the roster in AEW around the industry was sending out their love to Truth. He was gone. It was done. He was
Yeah.
released. It was over with. And then the crowd spoke, and Triple H is not as stubborn as Vince McMahon, especially when it comes to someone like Truth. And when the crowd is that overwhelmingly saying, hey, let's do this. And if it makes sense, let's do this. But what I love about what Triple H did, he didn't just bring our truth back. According to WWE Shop, it's Ron Killings. There's already merch for Ron
Yeah.
Killings. And if you notice Money in the Bank, when he came out and he attacked Cena, and this may be overthinking things, there was no smile. There was no dance.
Nope.
There was no nothing. All black hood comes out, attacks Cena, dips through the crowd. That's it. What do you expect differently from Ron Killings than what we got from R-Truth?
I think we get an impassioned promo from him. I don't know if it's going to be him thanking the fans, and then we'll see his next move, next point of attack. Where does he go from there? Is he going back? Is he going to go against Cena again? I don't really think there's anything lucrative to come from that. But you can do it on a Raw. You can do it on a I don't know, a throwaway PLE. But I don't really see what the upside to that would be. I'm interested though.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was surprised they didn't give him the NXT Ricky Starks Mariah May treatment where they just said
Yep.
he's back, but they didn't say truth, but they did. They said our truth.
Yeah.
There's no introduction of Ron Killings. I'm sure we'll get that in the weeks to come.
Right. And that's the interesting part is they said truth and everything on their social says truth, but then WWE shop says Ron Killings. So
Yeah,
that's the confusing part. I want to be very cautious with this though. And I say this with all the love and respect for Ron Killings, R-Truth. He's amazing. And I love that he's back. It was a great call. This is a great angle to make the Cena retirement tour even more fun and interesting and give Truth something legitimate at this point in his career. But let's remember why we loved R-Truth, right? This is not a guy, it isn't the same as Cody Rhodes. This is not a guy that we were begging to be in any title picture, to be a world champion, to be anything like this, right? He was a guy that was a comedic relief. He was amazing at that. He was a great additive to the Judgment Day story, to the Miz, to the Cena story. But let's not get too excited here, right? I agree with you. An impassioned promo would be amazing. I think he could knock that out of the park with that. But I would not go too far when it comes to trying to push R-Truth, Ron Killings to anything outrageous in 2025, especially with the roster you have. You're going to risk fans kind of getting tired of it real quick if you over push him, right? Keep it to this story and leave it at that.
yeah. No, I agree. And to your point, I think that's why his match with Cena was a good wrap up because John Cena, as we've seen in his recent matches, kind of physically limited.
Yeah.
The pace is pretty steady, slow, kind of like almost kind of a Roman Reigns pace where it's just kind of slow, plodding to go. And I think R-Truth, because of his age, because of his limitations, because just he's been doing this for so long too, they were the perfect combination.
Yeah.
The pace matched and the story was there. So I think to your point, that was his high note. He went out on a high note. R-Truth went out on a high note.
Yeah.
Let's see what Ron Killings does. But also with Ron Killings, again, how much more upside do you have here? How much more can you do other than, let's say, like a street fight, a solid one-on-one match or something like that to that effect? Because, let's be real about it. You just said it. You laid it all out. R-Truth has really just been kind of the comedic relief. Great as he is at it, we love him. We enjoy it, but that's kind of been his spot. As
Yeah.
much as he is excelled at it, you know, I don't really see. We're not getting no 5-star, 67-star Tokyo Dome matches from him anytime soon.
Right. And look, I don't want to see Ron Killings come back to take another loss to John Cena. The perfect route to this, put him in a tag match, right? Have it be a tag main event. Give Cena and Logan Paul a third guy, Gunther maybe, against Cody, Jey Uso, and Ron Killings. Let Ron Killings get the pin there, right? It's a tag match. It's a feel-good moment. It probably just adds to what seems to be another Cody John Cena match at some point, and that's where that can lead to. Ron Killings should not be John Cena in a one-on-one match. Ron Killings should not be a champion at this point. And if you brought him back to have another one-on-one match that he loses, it takes a lot of the steam of this whole story that is, again, another thing that Triple H is pulling off that we haven't really seen in wrestling. When's the last time a guy was legitimately released and then brought back a week later because fans wanted it and it made sense? You don't want to take the steam away from that by having them take a loss, and a tag match is the perfect way around that.
I almost wonder. I agree, and I almost wonder if you make people wait to hear from him. Not a long time, but just we don't get his point of view on it because he gets interrupted or whatever it is. I just think that throwing him out there again too soon, having him go through a whole promo where he explains everything, And then it's just like, all right, cool. Now what do we do with you? Are we doing Cena again?
Right.
Because R-Truth beating John Cena for the title, it's like, first off, why? Why would we
Right.
do that? Secondly, it would feel very kind of like to a more extent of a guy that we like. It would feel very Jinder Mahalish beating Randy Orton. Like, why did we do that? Why did you switch the title to that guy?
Sure.
Because there's no longevity to it, you know. But I don't know. I'm regardless of anything, I am intrigued, and I think that's the important part of this entire thing.
Do you think with Cena taking a loss here, even though it was because of Ron Killings, is Cody Rhodes the guy to end John Cena's run? Are we doing a full circle thing before Cena retires?
I feel like that's the obvious story.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. So I'd be fine if they didn't go that route with it.
Right.
Like I'd be fine if they didn't go that route with it. But I think that's the obvious story. Is it's going to be Cody Rhodes. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
It's the obvious one. The reason why I would say no is exactly what we're going to go talk about right now, which is the Money in the Bank ladder match itself. And let's get into it. The men's side, Seth Rollins gets the win. On the women's side, it's Naomi. Which of those two decisions did you like more?
Um, Seth Rollins, and I'll explain why. Because we've had this discussion, and I told you I'm like a dedicated Seth Rollins hater at this point. I think I've just
Yep.
accepted my lot in life with this. I don't know what it is. I'm just not. I'm not on the fan base train like everybody else is. The song is catchy, what have you, but I'm just not there. I think he needed this though because it
Yeah.
helps serve the purpose to his entire story. He's talking about changing the game. He's talking about taking that title back, his title back. He's talking about how Jey Uso doesn't deserve it. He needs to take it over. So it only makes sense to have him be the guy to
Yeah.
win Money in the Bank. And I dug that because I'm like, okay, cool. Now we can progress this story. There's a direction here with Paul and Seth and the new implementation of J&J security that he has with him.
That for Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed to be compared
That's what they are, dude.
to
It's
J&J
J&J
security. Come on, man. Like,
That's
shout
what
out
they
to Joey
are,
Mercury
dude.
and Jamie Noble, but come on, man. Like,
Shout out Jamie Noble, still doing his thing out there. That's
he
great.
is, man. He really is. Look, this is more evolution-ish. This is what it is. Seth Rollins
I
is your
just feel
Triple
like with
H.
Evolution, everybody had an individual character. Here, it's guys who had individual characters, and they're like his henchmen now.
But
That's the
that's what
presentation I'm
evolution
getting.
was
Now we'll see how it progresses.
when evolution was first created. That's what they were, because Randy Orton and Batista were so young. They were the guys that came out dressed up in suits and dress
Right.
shirts to just support Triple H. It took about 6 months, within a year, before Orton was a champion, before Batista was a tag champion with Ric Flair, right? So, and we're not getting that from Paul Heyman, but it's the same type of vibe, right? Like Braun Breaker,
Imagine.
I mean, can you imagine the robe and everything, right?
Oh, what a
Like,
visual, huh?
oh my god, no,
Wait, so do you think it's that Seth Rollins needs to wear a suit? Do you think that's what would tie it all together for me?
Seth
Like he
Rollins
needs to wear a
basically
suit like
does.
everybody
He
else
just
there?
wears outrageous things, but Braun and Bronson come out in full suits. Paul Heyman's always in a suit. It's the same type of vibe, and it even elevated even more because Seth Rollins is a lot more established than Triple H was when Evolution began. And then when you look at each individual person, Randy Orton and Batista were still newcomers at the time, where Braun Breaker has already been an Intercontinental Champion. Bronson Reed has already been in main events. So they're already established guys. If it's done well and done right, it could be that same type of vibe as Evolution was. I love this for Seth Rollins. This is the next step for Seth Rollins in terms of not just being the third wheel behind a Roman Reigns and a Cody Rhodes in terms of star type player. And Paul Heyman does that. And the Money in the Bank briefcase makes sense. He was also the only guy in that men's Money in the Bank ladder match that had really a story that would have made sense for him to have that briefcase. Because you got to remember, John Cena holding that title, that is what made the Money in the Bank ladder match so important for me. I did not want just an up-and-coming star holding that briefcase. Seth Rollins is that established guy, and this is where the Cody Rhodes question mark comes in for me. What if Cena beats Cody again, and that established guy holding the briefcase, that being Seth Rollins, cashes in before Cena retires, if it's not even his last night? and he saves the company. He wants to change the game, right? He saves the company by cashing in on Cena and taking that title away from Cena. I said this about any established guy. It could have been CM Punk, Seth Rollins, any established name that would have held the Money in the Bank briefcase. Seth Rollins plays that perfectly. I will say, though, Naomi is huge for this. Naomi needed this.
Yes.
Right? Naomi needed this because her heel character, you want to talk about needing validity, right? Her heel character needed something, because if she didn't get the something, she was going to get buried by Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, because that is who she's in a story with. Bianca's a star. Jade is viewed as a star. Naomi has always been that mid-card, can't really get over the hump person, and now she's got that briefcase. How big of a deal is this for her?
I think it's major, because I think she's been doing some of the best work she's done in WWE like ever.
Yeah.
With this new character of hers. But you're right. I think she needs to get out of the shadow of the much bigger shadow of Bianca and Jade. Yeah. It's just a dominating. They just are on that roster. I think it's huge because I would actually like to see her go after Io.
Really?
Go to Raw with that. I think just it's a clean break, and she'll, it's a new landscape for her. It's all kinds of possibilities. She could kind of easily be the top heel in the women's division on Raw, especially with that briefcase.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Naomi is an established name. It's about damn time they give her something that's consistent to keep her on top. I don't see her really getting over Bianca and getting over Jade at that point, specifically Bianca. But even if she doesn't, this briefcase, she could take losses to Jade or Bianca if it's a triple threat, whatever it may be. That briefcase is going to keep her relevant afterwards. Yeah. And it's the perfect route. You mentioned, right? Go over to Raw, take the loss to Jade and Bianca, whatever that turns into, and then hop over to Raw and take that title, from Io, whoever's the champion at the time, over on that brand, and then kind of start over, be fresh going into next year's WrestleMania back in Vegas, by the way. Shout out to Vegas.
It's the WrestleMania Las Vegas residency.
Let's go, man.
But no, the element of surprise of that, you just mentioned her essentially wrapping up her feud with Bianca and Jade, and that could be one of the big features on SmackDown, to the point where you're not, she has the briefcase, but you're assuming she's going to cash it in on like Tiffany or so, what I mean? So it's like, oh, okay, well, eventually that's going to happen. It's the element of surprise. It's the pop, and it's her showing up randomly after a match on Raw for Io or whoever the champion is on Raw at that point, and cashing in, and she could take losses on SmackDown to bigger names, not to discredit her, but all everyone's going to remember is the cash in. That's all they're going to remember. In the end of it. So
I will say, first off, with Seth, does Seth have to target Cena, or do you like him targeting Jey Uso too?
I like the Cena idea a lot better.
Yeah.
I just think there's more to that. I think there's more impact to that than targeting Jey. One, because I personally still just view the WWE Championship as the undisputed title is the main title.
Yeah.
And because Cena's holding it, and because of Cena's whole threat about leaving with it, and everyone, I just think that matching up with Seth's whole like mission of changing the game, changing the landscape, that makes more sense. And you can have Cody get beat. I don't know if you'd want to have Cody win and then Seth cashes in just to kind of bring their feud again full circle, but he could do what he did with Brock and Roman at WrestleMania and just come out there and make it a triple threat match, and there's a lot of possibilities to it, and the story is pretty huge. So I think focusing on Cena, whether they push that or he just surprises everybody and shows up in that match, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, for me, Jay's easier, Cena's better. So I hope we go Cena in terms of storyline. Yeah. Seth's already been involved with Jey Uso since that faction's been a thing. For me, I'm just going to say this again. I say this every year. Please let it be a surprise. Please stop overly reminding us who is the Money in the Bank holder, and that they may potentially come out in every title match that we see or every time the champion is on TV. Please just let them coast through the year for however long they hold the briefcase. Us wrestling fans, we're so easy to fool. If you don't tell us every 3 seconds that they're the Money in the Bank holder, we're gonna forget. And then
It's
when they're
merch, dude. It's merch too, though. It's
I
merch
get it. I get
because
it.
people show up with that thing. People buy it at the merch stands, and they're walking around. The fans are walking around with their own version of it.
Oh
I
man.
get it. I agree with you. It's like, dude, can we just know you have it and it doesn't come out with you to the ring every time?
Right.
Like Paul Heyman's going to be holding it, like he used to hold Roman's championship. Just, it's
They
just
can
like,
hold it. I'm more on the announcers. I'm more on Cole and everyone there because it's like every title match
oh,
over
you
the
know,
last
Pat's
like
not going to shut up about it though.
Pat don't shut up about much, first off. Secondly, when it comes to three, the last 3 years of Money in the Bank, every time the champion
Yeah,
is in a match, all Cole does is remind us, Damian Priest is backstage. He's in the building. He may cash in. They were doing it during the tag match at Money in the Bank. We
yeah,
have both world champions out here.
yeah,
Seth Rollins is still in the
yeah.
building. So that just tells me we're not going to do it. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, but we as fans, yeah, we as fans for Money in the Bank, like PLEs, we always kind of have that little in the back of our mind, like, oh, this they're probably who's going to cash in before the event's over, and
Right.
I will admit, just a little part of me was really hoping El Grande was going to grab that.
Yeah.
I think
Man.
the country needs that right now, man. We need
We need something, you know what I mean? That's our hero.
and El Grande would have been that guy, dude. He brings
Hey,
hope to the people. That's all I'm saying.
Gulf of America, okay? I'm gonna visit one day.
Oh Lord. Anyway,
Let's run the gauntlet of everything else that took place at Money in the Bank and also going on around the world of wrestling. Let's start with Money in the Bank. Becky Lynch getting the IC title from Lyra Valkyria. Are you good with this call?
I am actually because I think Lyra needed to hit reset. I think she needs to build fan support going after this title. I don't know how it has to be brutal. There has to be some sort of like hardcore match here or something to really get
Sure.
her to get the fans rallying behind her because she was doing a little better, but I still think there's a lot of like there's a lack of connection,
Yeah.
and she's really good in the ring. So it's not that. It's just the fans aren't connecting, and I think there's a way to work through it. You have the babyface chase the title, and the fans can get on your side.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I also think this is probably leading to a Becky Lynch Bailey match at SummerSlam potentially for the
Oh,
IC
there you
title.
go.
Remember, Becky took Bailey out. Lyra held that title
Yeah,
for a little bit, right? These are title runs I like. I don't need, a year and a half title runs for everybody. She held it for a few months. Let's move it on to something else. Let's keep the story progressing. We probably have one more match between these two. I would put Becky over there as well. Bailey maybe gets involved afterwards. I think that's a perfect path for the rest of the summer and into SummerSlam. Also, Money in the Bank. Jacob
yeah.
Fatu turning on Solo Sikoa. He's already the U.S. champ. He prevented Solo from getting that briefcase. How do you feel about the timing of this and the way it was done?
I like the execution of it. I love the pop he got with that. I love Solo's like stupid face, confused as to why his foot wasn't going up the ladder. Like he sold it really well. It was really
Solo's
well
funny,
done.
man.
The whole, the I hate you Solo instead of I love you Solo was perfect because everybody knew that was eventually coming. And when we got it, we're like, oh God, yes! Like this is everything we wanted it to be. But Jacob's great. I mean,
Yeah.
he's up there. He's getting up there in the stratosphere of main eventers. This is a potential SummerSlam match or wherever they want to put this.
Sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming. We're building to it for weeks. I think the execution was great.
Yeah, no, I love it. This is officially the start of the rise of Jacob Fatu officially to stardom. We knew it was coming, and now that he's away from Solo, we can officially get on that road. I like this for a different reason though, because this feels a little different than regular Triple H storytelling. Triple H usually likes to drag things out, and a lot of times it's cool. It
Yeah.
makes sense, anticipation, and so on. This has only really been building since a little before WrestleMania officially that we started to see the signs of Fatu and Solo starting to kind of the dissension being there. And, Triple H will drag things out for the entirety of
Oh
a
yeah.
year, right? So, for that, comment to be heard on SmackDown that Fatu heard, a lot of times Triple H would have dragged that out for another couple months before something officially happened, right? Where the next night,
Yeah.
Fatu's like, nah, we're done, right? So I love
Yeah.
that. I love this for Jacob Fatu. This dude is a star. He's going to be a star for a minute. And shout out to Solo Sikoa. Dude is funny. Like, I don't think anyone
No,
expected him to be.
I mean, like, it's so crazy when you think about just a couple of years ago where he was as the enforcer of the bloodline,
Yep.
how it was just his personality was to be stoic.
Yep.
And it worked
Yep.
perfectly, you know? But now it's just like he's he's such a goofy ass about things, but it works so well
Yep.
that I like it. It's just kind of like this dumb arrogance.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, he's great at what he does. The heel he portrays,
Yep.
totally awesome at it.
Let's go to Mariah May. You mentioned her earlier, showing up in NXT just days after being taken off the AEW roster. How big of a deal is this?
Man, major. It's a big deal. For anyone, I mean, for those of us who watched AEW and followed her whole, I mean, just the Tony Storm feud,
Yeah,
which is probably one of the better things that's happened in AEW in the last year or so.
sure.
She's incredible. She's great on the mic. She's great in the ring. She knows her character. I think this is a huge coup. Like, this is another Tony Fumble moment, and she's going to thrive in this company.
She's young. This is mind blowing.
And she's young. I mean, just like
this is mind blowing. You talk about Tony fumbled, and you could see what Tony Khan wants to do. Tony Khan is trying to keep the established names, and he's letting the young stars who you would think are going to be your faces in 10 years go. This is the same thing as Ricky Starks, right? Yeah. He's young. He has a ton of upside, and you're just letting him go because you want to keep the names that everyone knows, and Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho and so on, right? So it's like, this is a huge deal, especially for the women's division. Mariah May is going to be the face of the women's division in 10 years. Mariah May, Stephanie Vaquer, Rhea Ripley is still young, by the way, and Tiffany Stratton. Those are going to be your four in 10 years from now.
Dude, you just said, I mean, Mariah May, Stephanie Vaquer is already a superstar in the eyes of the fans. Like, Booker T helped along the way. But I mean, it really, like, you talk about you look at the crop of wrestlers that have come from AEW, right?
Yeah.
On top of who WWE is already making on their own homegrown talent from NXT.
Yeah.
Your Roxanne Perez, you know what I mean? Like, your Stephanie Vaquer, you know, people like that. And you're just like, they're set for the next decade or so. They're set.
Yeah.
Barring injuries and what have you. The women's division in WrestleMania main events, it's solid.
Right.
It's good to go.
The one thing to defend,
that's amazing.
The one thing to defend AEW and Tony Khan on this one specifically, Mariah May has been very vocal throughout her life and career. WWE was the end goal for her. So I will say, after everything we've said there, that there was probably no shot for Tony to keep her. And it's not a knock on AEW and Tony. It's more of, she always wanted to do this. You know what I mean? The second she was going to be able to, she was going to.
And in the sense of, like, it happens so fast. I mean, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of the situation of the contract and all that, but just, like, props to Tony for that, because some promoters, it would have been a very Vince McMahon thing.
Yeah.
To be like, you can't do anything for 90 days, whatever.
Sure.
For someone to be like, hey, we can't reach a contract with you here. You want to go. This is your lifelong dream. I'm not going to stand in the way of it. You know, basically the promoter gives you the blessings. Go be happy. You know, that's kind of cool. If that's the way it happened, that's pretty cool.
And also to make her look like the star that they did in AEW, knowing this about her, I hope they did, right? Where it's like, you are building up her stock. She had the best story in AEW women's division history, period.
The reaction of the NXT crowd, and that NXT crowd is NXT faithful. They're there every week. You know, so it's like they fall. That shows you that even if you're more pro NXT, pro WWE, what have you, she's good enough, and Tony Storm and their feud's good enough. It was bleeding over. People were watching that. They may have not tuned in to see what was happening in the men's division, but they damn sure were interested in AEW's women's title division. And so they know Mariah May. So when she showed up in NXT, look at the reaction she got. She got a Jericho showing up in '99 and WWF reaction.
Yeah.
It was just like, holy shit, like it's her, it's her. And yeah, the crowd went crazy.
Let's go over to the King and Queens of the Ring tournaments. That's going to culminate at Night of Champions at Saudi Arabia. The winners will get a world title shot at SummerSlam. Early predictions on the men's and women's side that you'd like to see win this.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about this because I know you posed this question to me earlier today. For the men's side, I'm always going to jokingly say El Grande, but I don't mean it.
Give them everything.
But I would definitely not be mad if it was actually Chad Gable.
Sure.
Who got King of the Ring.
Against, against Jey Uso. It doesn't need to be John Cena, right? On Raw, Jey Uso is the world champion on Raw. Cena's been more SmackDown.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So I wouldn't mind that. Just going over other names. Oh, man. I mean, you got your guys, you got there's a lot of luchadors in the mix now.
There are. Poor Chad
we
Gable.
can just go crazy and just, hey, why don't we just go nuts and make Dom King of the Ring?
Look, I would not be against it.
I'm just saying, dude.
Yeah, that dude is on a roll right now. You could go if you go Raw with this, and that's what I would do, because the Raw winner would then get Jey Uso. I don't know that I want the King of the Ring winner going after Cena when you already got Cody in the mix. You already got Ron Killings in the mix. So like it feels like that's already set. You got to go a Raw winner. It doesn't need to be the biggest name in the world. Chad Gable would give Jey Uso a great SummerSlam match, right?
That'd be actually a really good SummerSlam match.
That'd be a great match.
Yeah.
Dom would be a great heel to go against a babyface Jay. That might be dangerous because Dom's starting to get a little popular here or there. Mm-hmm. So that could be a little dangerous. But Chad Gable or Dominic Mysterio, either one, not a bad idea. But what about the women's side?
Immediately who comes to mind is Jade Cargill.
Okay.
From the women's side. I think that her progression as far as story goes over this coming into this year.
Yeah.
They're obviously they're like, we want to strap the rocket to her, and I think that her winning Queen of the Ring would not be a bad idea. The other person I would think of is also a SmackDown person would be Chelsea Green.
Yeah. I'm not against Chelsea Green, especially after losing the US title.
Mm-hmm.
A name for me who was one of the finals in the Royal Rumble match, and then watching the Money in the Bank ladder match. During the match, I said I would not mind her winning. Roxanne Perez. Roxanne and Io.
That's a great choice.
Right? It would add to the story with the Judgment Day and Liv and give another level to that. So Roxanne could be a good route to go.
Especially if Liv were to win that title back at some point. And then you have her as there's a story.
Yeah. The battle of Dom's girls. How does Dom go from Rhea to Liv to potentially Roxanne, by the way? What is going on?
Dominic Riz Mysterio.
Let's go, man. All right. Lastly, we are getting the return of Nikki Bella on Raw. What do you make of this?
You know what? Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna get something to eat.
Who asked for it?
Who asked for this?
I'm hoping it's something. It's got to be something regarding Evolution in July, right? But I'm hoping it's not a match. I'm hoping it's some form of just being a part of it. The host, I don't know, something along those lines. I said this when she came back at the Royal Rumble. I don't think anyone is asking for the Bellas the way WWE thinks we are. I really don't think so.
No, right? We're not. I'm not.
The only other thing I can think of is I feel for John Cena because his retirement tour has taken one unexpected turn after another. He got Ron Killings back. Now they're bringing Nikki Bella back. I don't know what's going on for that.
Like he's gonna walk into the locker room on Raw. Oh Jesus, come on,
man.
Why is she here?
God, no. Seriously,
she's managing R-Truth.
Oh, get out of here. That's what I don't see a match. I can't even think of someone on the roster right now that I'm like, I'd like to see that match.
I don't, especially if she's going to be on Raw. I don't see it. This is a thing where it's like, they bringing back legends from the past, whatever, legends, right? I would be more excited if this was like Trish Stratus again. I don't like.
Well, she I
never cared for the Bellas. I just never have.
I felt the same way.
Hell yeah, she can.
We'll see what they do. It's got to be something with Evolution, potentially a match. I just don't know who that would be with. So We shall see. That is that dude, Daryl Taylor. I'm Justin Valentine. Roar Around the Ring is available on YouTube at Roar Around the Ring. Find us on socials at JV Around the Ring. We'll be back in July, coming off of Night of Champions, heading into All In Texas and SummerSlam. Again, that's that dude, Daryl Taylor. I'm Justin Valentine. We'll talk to you guys very soon.